Today's episode is brought to you by Bungee Bamboo.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, my man. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I took a 13-hour nap last week, or at least I think it was last week. All time has really blended together. The only markers I have anymore are what show I'm doing on any given day of the week.
Yes, that's convenient. It definitely is a nice anchor for me. I'm now, as of 30 seconds ago, sure that it's a Monday. So I get to start my week off right, and I guess we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and we did start our week off right here, as alluded to in the intro. This is no joke. We have an executive producer patron here, Bungee Bamboo, our first executive producer patron. Super, super thankful, humbled, and grateful to welcome you to the High Noon Productions family. Thank you so much, Bungee Bamboo. Really do appreciate it. And of course, guys, if you want to join Bungee Bamboo, as well as many others, you can head over to patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. And we'll be getting to Bungee's message in a second here, but Death and I have actually talked, and I know we've said this 100 times over the years, but we are actually going to revamp the Patreon. We've got some tier updates. We might be adding in some tiers here and there, or at least shifting things around. So I know it's just been kind of there, and we've let it sit. That's my fault for sure. But we are updating, revamping. That within the next week we'll have some updates for you next week. So if
you do real fast, if you guys have any ideas for what you'd like to be a patron tier, incentive or reward, even if you are an existing patron and it's self-serving to suggest something at your current active tier, we don't care. We're always looking for and interested in good ideas and fun ways to help get you guys to want to support the show and give back to you guys if you do want to. So reach out to us, let us know what you would be interested in, and we will see what we can do to incorporate that into the different tier levels, whatever they end up being.
We've had a couple of ideas, and I think we can talk at least a little bit about what those are, just to get a feel. Let us know in Discord if these are dumb ideas or something that you hate. One idea was a VOD review, right? We've talked about this before, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to be an Overwatch VOD review. It can be any game. Don't care. It can be anything, honestly. We'll VOD review.
It can be your gameplay. It can be, if you want me to sit down or want us to sit down and watch an Overwatch League match and discuss it and try to figure things out like I've done in the YouTube videos.
I'm not going to provide anything useful. I will be doing a Mystery Science Theater 3000 at best.
But yeah, anything like that, any game, anything, whether we've ever seen it played before, doesn't matter. We can do our best to try to help you guys improve at something we don't know, which I'm sure will be comedic gold. But if there's a game you like we've never seen and want us to try to figure it out watching footage, that could be fun. Anything really, it's completely up to you guys.
It just has to be terms of, can't break Twitch terms of service or copyright, etc.
I wish we could just sit down and VOD review like movies.
That's just called movie review. It's just called the
like live with it. I don't know.
Wait a second.
Like a big watch thing.
Hex's movie hour. We finally got there.
We did.
Hex has nothing to do with this, by the way. But
somebody's got to pay for the licensing fees to show
those
movies,
and it will be Hex.
Yep.
Another, I don't remember what the other things we talked about. Stuff like that. I mean, you guys know us, right? Especially if you're a patron. You have been a part of the community for a long time. We want to give back more than we have in the past. And I mean, I do
we talked
silly
about was
voices
like,
and stuff.
Yeah. Would people want priority questions, or what I mean,
Yes,
something where
questions on the
we do
show
like
or
a mailbag where we take X patron questions a week, or if you're at a certain level, if you're there, you can send in a question a week. It's
yeah.
optional for you, and we'll ask and answer it on the episode. We can also have more of a private one, if this is interesting to people. Foul Play's still on hiatus. If you want to be able to reach out to myself or Blevins directly and guarantee that your fantasy question gets answered, we can set up a Discord channel for that. We're open to whatever sounds good to you guys, so if anything does stand out, or even if it wouldn't get you to be a patron
You think
here,
it would be cool?
another show, any ideas, we're very, very open. And we feel like this is an area that the imagination can run wild and create some really cool stuff, so we thought we'd open it up for a little bit of brainstorming from the fans.
Yeah, if you want me to say happy birthday in a stupid voice, okay, I'm in. We're in, and we just want to, we want to do something cool for you guys and folks who have been patrons for a long time, as well as new patrons. And we just want to show we really appreciate you. But back to our message here from Bungee Bamboo. Actually, is posting. She's posting a question to the community, so this is not just for us. But she says, I want to know from the High Noon community, which Overwatch League players have the most entertaining personalities and would be on the top of your list to watch on a reality show, and why? Which team houses and lifestyles would you like to peek into a little more? So there's the question. Throw your answers and show suggestions on Discord. Again, discord.me/High Noon Podcast if you're not there yet already.
What's your answer, Blevins?
I mean, so it depends on what you consider an Overwatch League player. Is it current? Is it past? Because I mean, the obvious answer is XQC, right? Like that's he's a walking meme.
Let's stick to current.
Let's stick to current. I mean, I want to. The whole Philly the Philly house just has memes and craziness written all over it. That whole crew, they've done some content in the past. I don't even have one person specifically. If I was going just for a team,
such an interesting blend. Like all their nationalities are crazy and mixed up, and they're like savagely brutal to each other on Twitter when they're tweeting at each other. I think that's a really, really good answer.
Yeah.
Mine is going to surprise a lot of people, and including both of the fans of this team that listen to the show. The LA Valiant. I think their players' Twitter personalities are hysterical.
Yeah.
They're like a little simp squad. They're like arrogant with no cause to be, in a way that is just
I relate to that.
Absolutely hysterical to me. I have no love for the team, the organization, anything. I just think those guys seem like an absolute blast. And of all the teams I might want to go get a beer with, honestly, I think it might be that one, because if all else fails, I can just talk football with Gig. I think that's a thing.
Also, for the record, we're not condoning underage drinking in case any of those players are under 21. But
yes.
Had to get that in there. Actually, I probably didn't, but I don't care. The other one. I mean,
take them to Canada.
Yeah, there you go. Also, not condoning it. I think the other one, and you'll hate this answer.
Sure.
The other one I want to see, just for the drama alone, it's got to be Boston Uprising, right? Like, I don't care about any of the players specifically. I don't care about the stat. I just want to know what in the world is going on.
As long as Bobby Kraft's not getting any of the licensing fees, I don't really care. Which he certainly would. So that's out.
So I hate it, but
that's gotta be a beautiful disaster for sure. But let us know what your guys' thoughts are, who you're the most interested in peeking in on. And if you agree with us and we named your choice, just lend your voice to ours, but definitely do put a note in there for Bungee.
I do have my specific player that I want.
Okay.
Dogman, obviously. Easiest Dogman of my life.
My single player is just super. Like after reading his dad's Twitter account for 25 minutes, I'm so sold on the entire family and everything going on over there. Those him, Sinatra, those are great choices too.
Yeah.
Anybody that's just just seems like a jerk in like the best possible way is probably just a brilliant choice.
True. I have enough IRL Dogman stories to want to know more of what goes on when I'm not around, which is very rarely.
Guy's got to get into all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, true. True. All right. So definitely, again, Bungee Bamboo, thank you so much. And again, guys, if you do want to jump on the bandwagon, I don't know why I call it a bandwagon, but if you want to jump in, patreon.com/iNewPodcast. Really do appreciate it. All right. Blackwatch Report, of course, as always, is keeping the grind going. I have confirmed with Kyle and Thorne that they are still not a Valorant podcast yet. So,
and this week I forgot to put it in the notes, but specifically should be covering the Open Division playoffs and previewing the NA trials this week.
There you go. So we've got some events to talk about on Blackwatch Report. So make sure you're checking those guys out. As Death, you mentioned before, Foul Play still on hiatus, so we will update you when they return. But if you do, again, want your fantasy questions answered, head over to discord.me/High Noon Podcast. Now, we've got another announcement here, Death, that I'll let you take as a long time fan of the show, content creator, advocate for the show, friend of ours, Big Fish, aka Game Watch Today, aka Overwatch Today, meme of the week, creator.
One of the first ever hot seat guests as well, I'm pretty sure. Definitely somebody we brought on and interviewed early on in the show's history. So yeah, Big Fish is a big friend of ours. Reached out to me, asked if we wanted to team up a little bit for a little giveaway that he's organizing. It's a gift card giveaway. So regardless of your preferred platform, PS4, Switch, anything, you can be eligible to win one of two different $20 gift cards that will be raffled off. All of our Twitter followers and YouTube subscribers are already entered, but you can check our pin tweet for more ways to enter. There's other shows, other content creators, including Game Watch Today himself, where you can follow and get additional ways to get your name into the drawing, and they do stack up. So you can follow everybody everywhere and do all of them. But yeah, check our pin tweet on Twitter. I made sure I pinned that earlier today. I'll double check it as soon as I'm done talking to make sure it's still there. Make sure you guys get in there. Free $20. I think he said he's doing 2 of them, giving them away. So
nice.
Make sure you guys get in there for that.
Yeah, definitely good. And the only thing I have to say about that is I need healing. Only the OGs remember that. But Death, all that housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about what we did this week. Anything fun and exciting for you?
I mean, did something I thought I'd never do again, to be perfectly honest with you. I dusted off the old streameroo.
Ooh.
So I'm not like streaming where I'm like I haven't tweeted it once. That's not honestly what I'm doing is I had such a good Valorant play, right? Like literally can't be better. I killed 6 people. If you don't know about the game, I won't go into details, but you can't kill more people than that in a round.
Literally as good as possible.
And we had 2 people streaming in the group, and they were all spectating Jaylee until he died. And then like one of them alt-tabbed and didn't even catch the end of the play, and it was super hype. And I was a little let down that I didn't have more of a clip of this, right? And I don't really want to be filling my hard drive up with Valorant gameplay just every time I'm playing. So I thought, what the heck, I'll just throw the stream up. A couple people stopped by, showed up on literally my worst day of gameplay in my entire life. Things like that. So it's been, but if you stop by, I do try to keep the chat up. Sometimes it gets covered. Like I'm not really trying to become a streamer or anything like that. But if you do want to just hang out and see what I'm able to do in that game or other games, or I'm workshopping some ideas for the future. So there might be more coming up where that's concerned. But Blevins, you ready for the high road? You're talking about callbacks.
I was going to ask. I was ready to ask. What is your Twitch channel?
Do you want to try
it? Yep. It's it's Is it start with HMP? Give me that. Does it start with HMP? No. Does it have HMP? It's D.
No.
Okay. It's D3 ATH_ BL0W. We got there.
He remembered them.
We got there. I couldn't remember if the HMP was in it in the old days or not. Which now that I think about it, obviously wasn't.
Common nerdy leet speak lettering in there for Deathblow with the underscore. Blevins likes to say it's hieroglyphics. If you remember episode 17 or whatever, the last time I mentioned my own personal Twitch. But yeah, feel free to check me out there. Been messing around with some of the guys playing Valorant. Apart from 2 days there,
you're pretty good.
Pretty well.
Been doing pretty well. I'll tell you, you're a top pick in the lobbies that we're doing.
As long as I play doesn't show.
I was gonna say I play is I think the he's the full deal. He's leader. He pops off. He's also just genuinely fun to be around.
Pops off.
Yeah. He's also helpful. He's got that like father figure. Like he's just
good. He's just good people. There's a reason we spend so much time with him.
True. There's a reason we've been friends with him for years now.
Yeah, he's just a really, really good dude.
Yeah, love iPlay. Love you, bud. Yeah, I've also been playing Valorant. I haven't streamed even a second of it, and I don't plan on streaming well,
you gotta have pop-off moments in order to
right, you need to be here's the thing. I knew I was going to give it a try because I've been on a Riot kick for lately, and I've been impressed with everything that they've done since I started coming back. When I came back to Riot with TFT from a game perspective and from the team's perspective, so I'm like, I'm going to give this a try. It's a shooting game. It's Riot. I'm happy. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I'll have liked it, and I've been having fun. I'm bad at the game. I will be I probably won't be the first to tell you because everyone will also tell you this, but I will be in the top 5 people to tell you that I'm bad at the game.
So if I don't tell them first, I tripped and fell down on my way to...
Right. Many people are going to be are going to try to be the first to tell you, but it's true. I'm not great at the game, but I'm having a lot of fun. It's a new game. It's a different style of game than I know myself and Death. You're also relatively new to the... I don't even know what you call it. The CS, the Counter-Strike style of game.
CS clone.
Yeah.
I'm not planning on doing much with the game, so I don't mind saying. To me, it's just a Counter-Strike clone with some skinned abilities or whatever. Typically, I honestly actively dislike that game style, but this one is, I don't know, a little different for me somehow. I haven't even put my finger on it yet.
Yeah, it's felt good. It's been fun. Been playing that. I've been really heavy into Legends of Runeterra as well. The new set's coming out. I cast it again over the weekend, so been having a lot of fun with that. But yeah, just keeping up with stuff. It's been good. But we'll be talking about something that I'll say is at the very least controversial coming up right now.
It's
news. Well, Deathblow, the death of the Overwatch League has happened.
Yeah, but we got the Overwatch Club.
We do have the Overwatch Club Sports is coming. This is a May tournament.
Melty Esports Club's coming back, baby.
Oh man, can we get the Creation Esports? Can we get Creation Esports King of the Watch back, please?
Mixer.com/
It wasn't Mixer. It was something that was before Mixer. I don't think it couldn't have been. No, it definitely wasn't Mixer because Mixer was something else before, and it wasn't that.
If it wasn't Mixer, it was worse.
It was worse. It doesn't exist anymore, I'm pretty sure. Or it got absorbed by something. Rest in peace, Creation Esports. Only the OGs remember. A May tournament has been added to the schedule. There will be an NA and Asia event held separately. Asia is Seoul, NYXL, London, plus the China teams. First place gets 3 wins added to their record. Second place gets 2. Third and fourth get 1. The NA tournament starts on May 22nd, and the Asia region starts on May 23rd. For the next 3 weeks, teams will play qualifier matches to decide their seeding. There's a combined pool of $225,000 up for grabs. There will be no hero pools for the tournament matches. Matches are first to 3, except for the finals, which is first to 4. Higher seed gets to pick their opponent from the lower seeds, excluding the semifinals and finals. Tournament champions, I already went over that. You get wins based on your placing. Okay, Death. It's a lot to take in. Kinda out of left field. I know I can already tell your initial reaction is a grunt. you want to expound upon that?
No. Okay. So I initially hearing this news, I was livid. Check my Twitter. I'm not full retreating from that stance. I don't think this makes any sense. I don't get it, and I don't know why. I don't know what problem they're solving because I don't know what problem existed in the first place. Let's start with the positive. They were already going and initially planning on doing a midway tournament in the middle of the season. They canceled it, so it's a little bit like we're getting it back. Okay. People have loved stuff like this in the past, stage playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And it was not for me, and I said so every time it came up, but there was no harm in it. And I made sure to say that as well. Okay. They didn't have much weight for me. I didn't think all the teams took them seriously. They're fixing that problem by forcing them to take this seriously. Okay. And that is at least going to be fixed. And I think this will be a more enjoyable watching experience for me, at least, than the stage playoffs was. Okay. Because there is a carrot at the end of the stick that's getting the teams to try, put their best effort forward. I've loved hero pools. Some people haven't been all about them. This is going to give us a more than just at the end of the season look into who's doing really well. On a bigger meta dive, deep dive into it kind of a situation without those hero pools. So that I think is good, right? If neither system's going to be for everybody, we kind of already know that. So I'm okay with there being some of these tournaments in the middle. What doesn't make any sense to me, and what is kind of just absolutely ridiculous, is that these aren't stage playoffs in nature, and that they're adding wins to a record for something that was once a sports league. Okay. It's not anymore, because sports leagues don't do this. Sports leagues operate in a round robin style or whatever, preset schedule. Everybody plays the same number of games. Everybody has a very even opportunity to succeed. Every team should be getting into these tournaments. So I guess we're maintaining the competitive integrity of the league, because it's not like, the bottom 4 teams aren't going to be, but at the same time, we're not, because when you look at the 2 brackets, they're not equal. Okay. I don't care how good you are perceived to be or how bad you are perceived to be, who the other teams in there can kind of be wiped out for me to take a look at this, because this doesn't have to be something that works for this season or makes sense for right now. It should be something that just makes sense, period. Okay. And one team entering with a chance to walk away with 3 wins added to their record in a bracket of 7 teams, and the other teams have to walk into a bracket of 13 teams, is massively unbalanced. It's twice as big of a pool. So why aren't twice the number of wins being handed out in the NA region? Or wins added to the record. I don't want that either, because I don't want any wins being added to the record. To me, that just kind of like makes the whole season into a clown show. Like it just becomes awkward and weird, and records don't really have meaning anymore. And how map win percentage, is that a tiebreaker? How is that working in? Probably just not going to factor in at all, but that's just kind of how it all should be, right? Like this can just be for fun. We're all kind of working in this imperfect situation of COVID-19 and quarantine, and nobody can leave, and there was never going to be a perfect solution here. Okay. It was just, the season was always going to be a little awkward and a little bit weird. And this just feels like we're just throwing more into it. It's just constantly getting more and more awkward. Changes in the middle of a season like this to the way the league fundamentally works, the foundation of how you make it into the playoffs, isn't great. I just can't get behind this. You don't want to do that. Now, we did it for hero pools, and that was a different conversation, because the game was changing. Overwatch was changing, and the league needed to match it, or there was going to be this massive disconnect that made it very difficult and very awkward to watch, and that needed to be avoided. What problem are we fixing by giving these tournaments the result of adding points to the record, other than teams weren't paying attention in stage playoffs? But you know what? It was like me and 3 other people that thought that, right? Everybody else said, oh, I don't know, I think they're trying pretty hard. And then Nene throws a grav into the dirt, and you're going, oh, I wonder if he's trying super hard. Like it's a bad example because we dove into that and
Yeah.
figured out what, but whatever. You get my point,
Yeah.
right? Like it was kind of obvious to me that there wasn't always 100% effort, and people didn't buy into that. But most people didn't buy into it. So like you can just do it, and if that's the case, who cares? It's just going to be me and 2 other people saying, "Well, they don't care, so I don't care." And like, but nobody cared when I said that.
Right.
We didn't get one comment about it. So I don't know. To me, we're just like adding in problems to try to fix problems that I haven't identified yet. So to me, it's just awkward. It's just weird. The things that kind of pulled me down off of my being super mad about it on Twitter last night, Ledge, are logistically, this can't work long term.
No.
This isn't something they're going to do when they have homestands. There might be CDL does a tournament structure and the homestands revolve around tournaments, and maybe they go into something like that. That's a different conversation, right? That's changing the whole league structure. That's doing it theoretically in between seasons, which is when you would do that. That's a different conversation, one that can be had if you want to go into a format like that. That's fine. To me, this isn't the way to do it, right? Doing an awkward tournament that like messes with the whole league for a whole season isn't a great way to debut tournaments being entered into Overwatch League. So to me, I wouldn't be for this, even if I wanted a tournament scene more like what CDL has into here. I know a lot of people do share that opinion and want that. I don't think this is going to be a good look for that, even if you want it.
Yeah.
This is kind of the one thing Blizzard has done this year, and amidst countless people hating every decision that's been made basically for the last 3 years, this is the one to me that just I don't get. There's other ones I didn't agree with, and that's not what this is to me. I both disagree with it and don't understand it. I don't understand its purpose, what's going on here. Most of the time, I mean, how many conversations and arguments and whatever did we have with Icarium and Discord that spilled over into an episode of things that I thought would be terrible to bring into the league? And to me, every one of those things would be better than this because they make sense. I just don't like them. I don't think they're the most exciting. They give you the most return on your league as a viewer and things like that. But this one to me, it seems so disconnected from what the league is, what the identity is. And I guess what I'm really asking for is can Blizzard just get the power back in the relationship with their fan base? Can they go back to telling us what they want the game and the league to be, and then we get used to it? Because that's to me better than it changing every 2 weeks and the hero pools work this way now and hero pools work that way now, and we're just gonna try to please everybody. And you know what's happening is just nobody's happy. Right? Like, so what? Monty didn't like the league format and wanted it to change. So he's gone now. He's like, it's already over. So like the people that wanted the league format are still here. So can they have that or no? Because now we've lost those people, and now we're going to lose people that don't want the tournaments to be into play. You know, it's tell us what you want and let us get used to it and let us get a feel for it, and stop making knee-jerk reactions to things. Make them at the mid-season point and in the off-season, and that's it. If you really want to have the ability to adjust mid-season, halfway point, no other time. Things need to be calmed down, or it's just going to be an absolute chaotic mess. And that's a little bit what we're going to be forced into because of the quarantine, the coronavirus, all that stuff. It was going to give us that. So I just don't want to lean into it, and I don't want to make the problem worse. And it feels a little bit like that's what this is doing. If I'm wrong and it gets people more excited and it ups the viewership and then it goes away again next year, great, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to harp on it or whatever. But if I see a team miss the playoffs and another one get in based off of two wins on their record that came from this tournament, man, the whole playoff bracket to me is just going to have this huge asterisk on it. And but again, I guess at the end of the day, to keep giving you the flip side of my own argument, the whole season was always going to have an asterisk on it because of how weird everything is, playing online, all those different factors. So I'll continue to say it. There's no good answer. So let's just find one that works for a big chunk of people and go and just go in that direction. And like, let's see it. But I don't know. What about you? I know we had slightly different thoughts, but neither of us are big.
I don't know how different thoughts we had. A little bit. I think I'm kind of apathetic about like the different, like if we're talking like CDL style tournaments versus the league, I prefer the league just because that was the vision for it. It's Overwatch League. It's not, I mean, the naming convention doesn't matter, but like it was the league. It was traditional sports really brought over into esports in a lot of ways and
Yeah, it
mirroring
feels like
that.
we were sold that, and now we just want what we were promised a little
Right.
bit.
We were sold that, and like in an ideal world, we would take that, and there's a lot of people from the traditional sports world that are or were working with Overwatch League, and they can bring that in and like take those people, take that as the core, right? Because the core of esports is already being done in esports, right? So let's take the core of traditional sports and take out the things that don't make sense for esports and add in the things that do. Let's do that. Let's build but it that's not what's been what they're doing now. This is the tournament format. Maybe that does make more sense for esports versus a league format. I'm not. That's a $1 billion question. Literally, that the answer to that question is worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Right? What is the perfect format for esports? Is it for a league, for this, for that, for the other? I don't know. It seems like there, and again, there's a lot of different stakeholders. There's the teams themselves and the owners of the teams. There's Blizzard. There's the fans.
And there doesn't have to be one answer,
Right?
right? Like, not all sports. Tennis runs on a series of tournaments, right? Like
Right.
you can have. There's traditional sports that work that way, and that's
Golf
a proven
kind of
model.
too. Yeah.
That's a proven model that can succeed. Okay, and same is true with esports. And there's no reason a league can't succeed.
Right.
In esports, I firmly believe that. The fact that me and you got so excited about it, right? Like it seems to me what would be a great transition for people. Maybe that's not the top Twitch viewership esport or whatever, but you know what is the top Twitch viewership esport? The game that people grew up playing for 14 years.
Right.
Okay, those are the games that are there, right? The games that even if I quit playing them 10 years ago, I can go back right now and watch a League of Legends game.
Right.
And understand generally what's going on. I might not know the name of all the abilities, but I can watch it for understanding and critical analysis and check it out. Same was true with CSGO. If you played that in the past, even if you haven't, right, you kind of understand why, okay, they planted a bomb and they got to defuse it. Somebody says terrorist and counter-terrorist, and okay, I'm caught up. I kind of understand what's going on, right? That's not going to be the case for all these games, and you're going to have growing pains. You're going to have lower viewership as you start out. You're going to have to grow. Overwatch goes into Overwatch 2, goes into Overwatch 5, and now all of a sudden you've got something, right? The game's been around forever. It's a staple in the gaming community. That's how you become that big of an esport. I don't think format matters super much there. I really don't. I don't think it's a major factor. I think recognition with the fan base, with the viewership,
brand
and
awareness,
everybody that gets their eyes on it, brand awareness, all that stuff matters, and that's sort of thing comes with time. So I don't know. I don't want to harp on this too much because it kind of bums me out a little bit. And the weekend ended on such a great match that has me kind of like pumped for Overwatch League and everything like that. That it was a bit of a roller coaster ride yesterday as they were doing those. But I don't know. But we'll be looking at those the teams. I still have some questions like what are the placement matches or the qualifier matches to determine seeding? Are those just regular season matches that are going to affect that as well? Are they separate? I mean, there's still some questions here. How's Vancouver participating if they're just constantly flying back and forth from Korea to Vancouver over and over again, and aren't on the schedule anywhere, and their players don't advertise that they're on their team? Like there's still questions here, and we're just gonna have to, like you guys, just buckle up and go along for the ride, and we'll fill you in every Monday as we get more info. But if you like stage playoffs, I think for this season, just close your eyes to the rest of it and go along for the ride, because these kind of environments do give you exciting matches, right? That's something stage playoffs didn't lack for, right? Like the finals, Vancouver versus San Francisco, both times was hype. It was great. There's a lot of fun there, and I personally, that's what I'm going to do, is just kind of close my eyes and take it for what it is, and know that it does matter. The teams do care, and watch it from that perspective and with that in mind, and just make the best of it, because that's kind of what this whole season is.
That's all we can do. It does seem like you said, this is it's like trying to half solve 3 different problems, and it doesn't actually solve any of them.
And nobody's in agreement that those problems exist to begin with.
Right.
Like it's 50-50 down the line.
Yeah. Like why? Yeah. I'm also struggling to like. I kind of get that the league format feels less impactful when we're seeing the same matches over and over again, but you're just rebranding the same games, right?
Yeah, and they're a little bit fixing. That's something that got buried in this, and we got to make sure we point it out. They did say they're opening up the opponents that teams can play against now. So now, like the U.S. teams will be able to play across the country instead of kind of locked into their West Coast versus West Coast, East Coast versus East Coast,
Gotcha.
and then Texas teams against each other. They're going to be opening that up to give us some more variety, but the Chinese region's still going to be pretty locked to their 7 teams. And yeah, so that's a problem that will be getting better over time, but that's also just all baked into this bitter corona pill that we all need to swallow and just go, this isn't how this is going to work in the long term, but it's what we can do right now, so let's enjoy what we can from the game. And stop viewing everything with such a critical eye of like, this isn't the most entertaining form possible. Well, the most entertaining form possible isn't possible, so let's go from there. Is kind of my thought process here. Anyways. I don't know. I seem to be in the minority on this one. Go figure. I have a minority opinion. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's going to be a hot topic this week, so we wanted to make sure we weighed in.
Yeah. I would just be beating a dead horse. There's just so many things that are very weird about it, and here's the thing. The eye test and the gut test, it feels wrong to me.
Yes.
And when you look into it deeper, it gets a little blurrier and maybe not as wrong, but it feels like when I first saw it, I was like, why in the world is this happening? And I haven't, sometimes when I do that, it's like, oh, it's because of this. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, I get that. I haven't had that happen yet. And I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think that exists. But
might hurt that I'm not there to try to talk you into it too.
Maybe. I don't know. But we'll move on, and I'm sure we'll obviously be covering the matches as they happen, but we'll move on from that now, and we'll move into
It's Tournament Talk.
Backseating Ducks. Let's talk about the matches that happened last week. We've got Seoul Dynasty kicking off the week 3-0 versus the Hangzhou Spark. Shanghai Dragons winning 3-0 versus the Guangzhou Charge. NYXL, easiest 5-0 of their lives. Actually, only 3-0 versus the Chengdu Hunters. Philly Fusion in one of our match of the weeks actually took it home 3-0 versus Atlanta Reign. San Francisco Shock win 3-0 versus the LA Valiant. I want to stop there for a second. Have we ever seen this many XOs in a week? I don't think we have.
It was 8 out of 10. Probably not, and we'll get into more of that. More of the why on that in a minute.
Hangzhou Spark win 3-1 versus the Chengdu Hunters. Shanghai Dragons win 3-0 versus the Seoul Dynasty. We'll be talking more about that, I'm sure. NYXL get the actual easiest 5-0 of their life, winning 3-0 versus the Guangzhou Charge. Florida Mayhem winning 3-0 versus the Boston Uprising. And in the one of the not 3-0s, we have the Dallas Fuel winning 3-2 versus the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, let's start there.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of places to start. I'll let you pick.
Yeah, that one was a banger. We talked about how close we thought that one was.
Yeah.
And we both ended up picking Houston, but we went way out of our way to say there's no confidence to it. It's just a gut, like, minor thing of like Tracer was out, and that was Decay's comfort pick that we thought might make a slight difference. And it lived up to every bit of that. So the YouTube guy that didn't like that we were so cavalier, like, obviously it was pretty close, bro. So okay. But no, in all seriousness though, yeah, this was a great match. Really back and forth. If I'm being honest, I think Houston played better overall across the 5 maps. They just had some crucial mistakes. One in particular from Muma cost them the Route 66 Fuller hold that they were going to pull off. It was right down to the last minute. I actually like missed the play, and then there's no clips or on YouTube or whatever, so I got to go back and find exactly what happened there. But yeah, that was very, very close, and it was that, to me, that mistake really swung it and allowed it to get to the map 5. But yeah, map 5.3 on the tiebreaker map, it was as close as you can get.
Yep.
You know, without that third map, like it was, Koth was even weird between those teams, right? One team, each team won one of the points decisively, like not particularly close, and then another one went 99-99 down to the last fight. So it was really, really back and forth. Just to me, a really great match of Overwatch League in a weekend that needed it because of all the 3-0s. It was not the most compelling stuff that we saw this weekend, and I think that's a little bit a product of these teams playing each other so much that you start to really fully understand them and how to play them and how to attack them, and then the tier differences become much more defined. And they make for some much easier predictions. Obviously, when you've seen a match happen 3 times, and then you can much more reliably predict the outcome when you've got those results. So I think it's great that they're opening things up a little bit. Again, in a world where nothing's perfect, does playing on 90 lag instead of 40 ping, does they really matter? I don't know that it does. Especially if both teams are, affected by it equally, or you change where it is to be fair. I don't care. Make it work. I just don't care about lag in this season. There's too many other things to care about. That's gotta go by the wayside. Not playing US versus Korea to, it makes sense, but otherwise open it up. That's fine. Yeah, so make sure you guys do check out the Houston versus Dallas. Didn't go in the way of the good guys this time, but it's the Devils got to win on occasion in order to keep it interesting.
True.
So congratulations to Dallas there. Super, super close, and I'm hoping we see, because of the scheduling changes, I want to see that matchup 3 more times this year, please. Because it's not something that's going to be on the schedule 4 times in a regular season. So let's take advantage of this weirdness, make some good out of it, and really build up that rivalry that exists and is very real and is very there in the fan bases. I think that's a way you can make some good out of the situation and do that. So it was so close to. It was a great match. Not even as a Houston fan, I was happy to see it, to be honest. Anything that close, from a team that was so far behind everybody earlier in the year, it still feels like they're on the comeback track a little bit. Clean some things up for Muma a little bit here and there, and try to sneak into the play-ins is, I think, still in the cards for both of these teams, obviously without the player-specific advice there. But yeah, so this was a great match and really the headliner of the weekend. So if you couldn't watch much this weekend, I'd say watch this one. And then the next one we're going to talk about here. Well, 2 more really we got to talk about, because they weren't close, but they should have been. And we thought they would be, and they didn't deliver. So that makes them interesting in their own right. Blevins, I want to ask you about Shanghai Dragons versus the Seoul Dynasty next. That was 3-0 for Shanghai in a match. I've been super high on Seoul and talking them up. And
they've been really high on my list.
Yeah, and we hadn't gotten a chance to see anything to make us come off of that opinion or stance until this weekend. So what were your thoughts on that match, and where do you put the Seoul Dynasty after that loss?
It's tough, and we talked about this beforehand, but Seoul's running 2 main tanks. Why are you don't have to do that. You have you have an off tank to play, a good one, no less.
Shell was a surprise for me last year. I thought he was a solid option.
He was, and it's tough because the 3-0 is what really gets it. If Seoul loses to Shanghai, okay, that's not a big deal. Shanghai has been dominant in the region. Seoul comes out and and also it wouldn't have been a huge thing if Seoul came out against the Hangzhou Spark and lost. It's like, okay, well, we've seen this happen. A team comes back, they're not as good. Well, Seoul comes out and 3-0s Hangzhou Spark. So is Shanghai the new truth? Maybe. They haven't lost in, I don't have the record in front of me, but they haven't lost in quite some time. They're beating one of the provincial favorites in Seoul. So I mean, I'm not sure if, because like at the end of the day, we've talked about Seoul for years now and how they've mismanaged the roster, how they're playing the wrong players, they're playing them sometimes in the wrong positions. Rio J Kong, of course, comes to mind for everyone. Is this the same thing? Are we seeing them like mismanage their, because like, does that lead to an 0-3 against a team you should have won against? I don't know.
It feels like it does, and it's not quite the same thing because they're not playing musical chairs here.
Right.
Okay, so they've come to a different conclusion on their roster, and that we just happen to disagree with. So it is different, but it does feel like a pretty obvious mismanagement of the roster. Now, the reason for the Gesture and Marvel together has been that there's been a lot of times when Double Shield's been really good, and they seem to want to play that style in those compositions.
Right.
And they have had success doing so. In this matchup, though, Shanghai just played a ton of Pharah. Put Fleta on Pharah, put him in the sky, forced Marvel to switch onto the Diva, where he is the highest kills or deaths per 10 in the league. At least I think that's what the broadcast was saying. I didn't check the numbers myself to confirm. And it just seems so easily exploitable. Hey, if we can just pick a hero that forces this guy to play Diva, and he's not a Diva player, and he's pretty bad at it, then now we can just target the Diva. They're down a play. Like, it just creates this massive weakness in your roster that doesn't need to be there. And I think when you combine that with, this was a meta where Gesture was playing Reinhardt, and I think the talk of Gesture being a bad Reinhardt is kind of silly and a little bit overdone. But it's his worst tank. So, he's not able to really cover as many of the other weaknesses from the Diva that are created. And it's just it gives them a really poor opportunity to make up from their own mistake here. And they just never swapped off of it. And Shanghai just kept forcing them onto the Diva, and it just always felt like a problem. This is very different if they just fix it. If they just, play your off-tank player on off-tank.
Play the right players. Not hard.
Their take on the meta, and we've seen this from Paris in the past, and it's going to happen where a team just has the wrong. Maybe they really thought they were going to be able to just play Reinhardt Sigma, and run the table, and they didn't want to give up on that plan, and they didn't have a second one in the works. But Shanghai, I mean, with the very recently 0-40 Fearless as their main tank, came in and beat the team that won the league the year that Fearless was 0-40, right? We're not that far removed from it. That's a very compelling story to me, that the main tank from the winless 0-40 Shanghai Dragons beat the team that was, the stage or the league champions that year.
Season 1.
He's looked much improved coming in. Fearless has, and we're starting to see a little bit more from Lip. It was hard to give him. I didn't want to give him too much credit for beating up on some of the mid-table teams, right? He's got a solid core around him. A lot of people are very high on Shanghai. To me, it was their main tank was the big question mark for them, and that question seemed to be coming back with a positive answer. So it was, how does Lip stack up against some really, really top-end DPS players in the league? And we finally got to see him go up against Prophet, and he clearly did fine in that matchup as the team was able to get the 3-0 win. So you have to start to buy into Shanghai. I think if you waited to buy in on them, that was correct and okay, but you've got to give them respect where it's due. It's only one game, but we can't sit here forever and, is it only two games when they do it again? Or you got to start to give them the boost.
Here's the thing. We know their matchups for the rest of eternity, right? Like, they're going to win. Like, it depending on what you're picking for.
Trouble.
Right, New York for sure. New York, Shanghai is going to be a big one.
And Seoul's not going to be 3-0 every time. There's going to be wins for Seoul if you run that back 10 times. It's probably. I think you're definitely right for that. Right about that. But like, it's tough because we haven't had to really pose this question. But like, you almost have to have 2 power rankings. Because, absolutely.
So it's like, well, and I mean, it's just like, NFL or MLB. It's like, and I'm referencing the early 2000s here. It's not the case anymore. But like in baseball, like the AL East was stacked. Like the Yankees, the Red Sox, They were like by a country mile better than all the other teams in that division. Like the Indians, come on. Sorry, Thorne. Cleveland, no. Uh,
Cleveland rocks.
Yeah, they throw rocks, not baseballs. Like it wasn't. It could be like this, and we've seen it a little bit in Overwatch League, where like one division is stronger than the other, but it didn't really matter that much. Now it obviously does, because we're not going to see NYXL versus San Francisco Shock. We're not going to see Shanghai Dragons, versus whoever in the NA region. So buying in, not buying, it's tough, because I don't know. I mean, I guess
I feel very confident they're going to be a top 3 team in that region, which is not the highest percentage. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, I probably would have put them there before. I don't know. This doesn't move the needle tremendously, but it really goes from, I mean, I had these as 2 of the better teams in the region with New York, and it just gives them a leg up now, right? Like hero pools were always going to make it so that the 1 week result wasn't decisive. It wasn't definitive. It didn't define anything.
Right.
But it starts to put the puzzle together, and it at least as a bare minimum exposed some ability from Seoul to continue to shoot themselves in the foot with their roster decision making and things like that. And I'm going to be very curious to see if they make any adjustments going forward in that department and actually play an off tank player, or also an acceptable option, though, for a couple weeks, or if it doesn't work, I will continue to blast them for it, because they didn't even try the level 1 option of play the off-tank player in the off-tank position. Stick with it. Get Marvel going as an off-tank player, right? Allow him to grow as a diva player. That's a very respectable option.
Right.
They're still going to be good enough to make the playoffs because of what we've seen them do against the vast majority of the rest of their division that's there. So that is a viable option going forward, though we will harp on them for it if they do take that route a little bit. But yeah, I'm very curious to see. I almost would rather see them stick to it than play musical chairs with it and revert back to last season's strategy. That's the case for every roster decision I've disagreed with in the history of Overwatch League. Like, you're the coach that gets paid, so what do you know what I mean? So stick with your guts, trust your judgment. That is always a great way to go about it, to tune out the noise, do what you think's best. But how do you not try, right? When they just keep pushing your main tank player onto diva, how do you not just put a diva in over your second main tank option? It just feels like such an easy thing to try, unless he wasn't available, or I don't know, but we can't speculate on that. We just have to assume he is, and they'll tell us if he's not.
Right. Oh man, I had a point about the tournament structure that is probably relevant, but I don't really want to delve too deep into it. So let's keep the retort on it short. But are we going to talk? Can we talk about the fact that the seeding for this tournament is potentially being done with hero pools, and then the tournament itself is playing on not hero pools? Like, is that relevant to you at all, Death? That rings a bell for me, and it's not a good bell.
I don't think it is, because the regular season was going to be based off of hero pools, and the end of season tournament wasn't going to be anyways.
That's true.
I think it might be a problem in the sense that, like, if the placement matches are happening over 2 weekends or something, did you get a decent enough sample size across multiple hero pools for it to be okay? Maybe not. But it's probably, you kind of have to do it that way. This is one of those things where ideally there'd be a point in the season when everybody was a plus or minus 1 game of each other, and you could break for the tournament then and just use standings. But with the breaks, with some regions playing, with teams traveling, some teams are tragically behind and going to have to play catch up. So you can't really use standings at the moment. So probably not a better way to do it, because you can't take hero pools out of this. You're not doing that, right? You're not taking hero pools out just because you want to add this tournament in. So yeah, probably no alternative, but it's suboptimal. But yeah. With enough games and the sample size determining the seeding, it becomes completely irrelevant.
That is true. Okay, let's move on.
One more match to talk about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Philly versus Atlanta.
Woof.
Atlanta, did not show up here. This is one that we billed, and it was billed by everybody, I think, as 2 of the powerhouses that had shown really, really high level of play this season, and only Philly brought it this week. And I'm pretty sure I did pick Philly because the meta seemed to fit them right. Basically, I'm picking Philly automatically when Sato gets to play the Reinhardt because he's been considerably above adequate on that hero. It's outside of that where I get a little iffy, but Atlanta was almost immune to hero pools thus far, right? They've got a deep roster, they've been using it, and this is the first time where I feel like it may have bit them. Did you get to peek into this one too much,
No,
Bubbins?
I didn't see a ton of it. But yeah, it's kind
I
of
just I feel like Atlanta's become Seoul. Even though Seoul's kind of claiming their own crown again, but like just there's a musical chairs aspect to this of like Baby Bay and Erster's in, and last time it was Erster and or not Erster, it was like Baby Bay and Edison, I think it was. Like there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason to what the DPS players are doing. It was Pakpo instead of Gator this time, so like they're swapping their main tank players around too much, and that to me is just causing this problem where it doesn't need to exist. And I don't know why they decided to do this. This wasn't something they did last year. They had the options, they had the players, they had brought Kodak in and then let him go mid-season because it wasn't working out. So why are they playing subpar, inadequate players when they have better options? I was big on them bringing in Baby Bay. I thought it was a great move. I think he's a player that can succeed in Overwatch League. I think ideally he's a backup on your team. So when he was a starter for you last year and you fell a little short, and you go out and you sign Edison and Sharp to play basically that same role that he plays, and at the end of this whole conversation, somehow you've benched Erster, which was like MVP caliber talent when he got the chance to shine last year. What are you doing? It just nothing. It doesn't line up. This is a team like Houston Sage 1 when they were benching Linkser and there was no cause to do it. There's no reason to ever put Erster on your bench. And I feel like with very few exceptions, maybe a niche hero, something like that 1 week or something in a hero pool environment, maybe, but the regularity with which Baby Bay's on that stage doesn't line up. It doesn't add up to me. I can't reconcile it. With the performance that they've given. I think 2 of their weeks where they've disappointed and gotten some losses here were with him out there. He's not terrible. I mean, he can win with him, but I think he's got to be plugged in and playing all the time, or it should probably just be Edison or Sharp that's doing it. Like, musical chairs isn't going to work here. You've got to get some consistency to a roster. That's what you see succeed. And then when that consistent roster that you stick with, your starting group has troubles, has an issue, has a gap and something they can't do well, then you worry about shaking things up. Shaking things up for the sake of doing it that's not it, Chief. I don't think that's the way.
That's not it. What's weird to me, and I'll say the same thing with Soul too. We sort of pointed out roster mismanagement or playing the wrong players, playing it weird. That I get. And even with Soul last year, we saw a lot of that, and they were losing, but they also, like, it wasn't, maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly. It wasn't Soul plays against a team that they should beat, they get 0 forward, right? It was a 3-1, a 3-2.
There was a baseline to where no matter what roster Soul brought in, they would be able to win. That baseline was around the LA Gladiators. Like it was like 5-6 in the standings, where if you were below that, it didn't matter what they were doing, they were beating you. But what we talked about that whole time was, even if that's the case, and even if Atlanta's current plan is enough to get them into the playoffs, okay, you've gotten to the playoffs, and now your team is worse because you have less established synergy and teamwork and cohesiveness with the 6 that you're going to put out there in the ideal scenario. So you need to establish that baseline starting 6, maybe 7 to me. There's situations, there's players that are inadequate on one role, and those are individual situations that you can have discussions about. But for generally speaking, and Atlanta's a team with more than enough talent that I don't think they need to be an exception case or a corner case of why you would play with a deeper, what I mean, use your bench more or something. I think they just have the talent to put out Erster and Edison and I would do Pakpo and Hawk, or Gator and Hawk. I don't care. Pick one. They both play very well. I have no issues with either of them. It's just a personal preference. pick one of them, get them going, and then, like I said, a hero pool comes up where you need something where okay, maybe we'll try it. But if you're down a map or two, just put your regular 6 back in there. Let them try it.
Yep.
There should be that, and that's something this Atlanta team doesn't have. And that, I guess what I'm really referring to is an identity. They seem like a team without an identity right now, and they need to find that. There's more than enough talent to be world beaters in this league and to take the top spot in the standings, to make a deep run in the playoffs, and we could be watching them in the grand finals.
Yeah,
unless they shoot themselves in the foot.
Right. It just seems weird. It makes sense though, because it seems like the lows, the floor is lower for both of these teams, Seoul and Atlanta here, than Seoul potentially was last year compared to the rest of the rest of the world. So makes sense. Interesting week, very, very interesting week. I'm hoping for the sake of people watching that we don't continue the 3 Overwatch weeks, but like you said, it might be happening with how the schedule is panning out. But
I think it'll get better as the variety mixes in, as they cross the U.S. to play each other. At least the U.S. games will get a little more exciting, I think.
Yep. Okay, let's move on here, and I don't know why that button specifically always messes up.
Oh, let's break it. Yeah!
All the other ones work perfectly. Okay, we've got new hero pools this week. McCree, Widowmaker, Wrecking Ball, and Mercy are banned. So, Death, what is your take on the meta here?
Well, my take on the meta is I just want to point out that this is why I didn't want weighted hero pools. I wanted that to be perfectly random amongst the eligible choices, because here we are in McCree every other week gets banned again.
Right.
It's multiple times now where it's happened with Widowmaker, which instead of being a weird corner case odd scenario that comes up every now and then, is something that seems to be kind of regular. I also want to point out that it's a problem that the law of large numbers will take care of, right? And as times go on, it will just become something different. Like, it's not something that's going to, I think, continue to repeatedly happen to McCree. It might, there'll be situations where heroes do repeat kind of frequently. But I do think it's a problem that'll go away over time. I've seen a lot of talking about that. Like, this is why the system can't work. This is why small sample sizes don't work for analysis, right? So we do need to kind of take a step back and not be too mad about that. But at the same time, this is why I don't like the pace of all these changes to the league and everything happening, right? Give us some time to really sit with things and see how they work, and don't react to every angry idiot on Twitter and Reddit, right? Like, they don't need to, everybody doesn't need their problem solved. Anyways, I'll digress. Echo's making her debut this weekend, and McCree and Widowmaker are the presumed biggest counters for her. So they're out, and that's going to really free things up for the new hero. The Mercy ban should keep Pharah out. I don't think there's even Soldier can take down a Pharah if she doesn't have a Mercy with her, right? There's no issues there. So it's just really hard to guess, right? Because when you're adding in a hero like Echo, we all saw the impact that Brig had on the metagame, right? And we all saw how laughably wrong they were using it.
Yeah.
Right. Brig in its most busted form massively shook up the game and was being used pretty incorrectly at the time, right? It was just powerful enough and good enough that it could change things up just by its presence. And I think there's a chance Echo's in a similar tier. So she's like, you talk about a lot in card games. So I'm going to go to an MTG analogy, because we wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
True.
Some of my favorite decks in Magic are decks that you're sitting there playing Magic and I'm over here playing a different game, right? So I'm doing a ton of graveyard stuff, and I'm, my graveyard's in my hand at all times because of the abilities, the way they work, stuff like that. One of my favorite decks was Eggs. If you're a big Magic player and you know that, right?
Oh God. You're
playing Magic, and I don't care what you're doing. I just Orms chant you and cast a million spells and win because I'm playing Solitaire while you're playing Magic.
Yep.
Echo might be like that, right? If you're trying to just sit around and play Reaper May strategies, Echo's 4 million feet up in the air wearing a Zenyatta orb, raining death down upon your entire team while they can't look at it. You're just going to lose. So especially without McCree there to really keep things in check, a quick shot to the head from the ridiculous aim of these owl hit scan gods is a great way to shut down a hero like that. That's not an option here. So I think we're going to have to see mirror comps this weekend, and I think it's going to be a lot of echo-based dive. So really, really excited about that. Probably the only time I want to be right when having a hero pool conversation. If I tried to put my finger on a default composition, I'm going to go Lucio, Anna. I really think Zen Orb on an Echo may prove to be the best. I just don't know exactly where you put it in. Like, it's really hard to predict Lucio Zen as a healer combo, but pro teams especially do love to use that particular layout when you're talking about dive. So that's certainly possible. Probably Winston Diva. Winston's really good against Echo. If you catch her without the shift and you jump on her, she can usually take her out pretty effectively. And then I'll guess at Echo and Tracer, but who knows which of the dive DPS heroes? Maybe it's Doomfist that gives people better results. Maybe it's Sombra. Going to be really hard to tell. I think there's a decent chance you see Brig, especially if Tracer is the other DPS. Brig armor packs and a Tracer on an Echo will do wonders for keeping them alive. Though I don't think Brig is great at stopping Echo like she is at a lot of the other dive DPS. The vertical mobility on Echo and the ability to just float and hover out of her range. You need more than a shift, I think, in order on Brig and a Whiplash to counter people. So I'm really, really looking for variance on dive this weekend is what my main call will be. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what these teams decide to do. That feels like something they can probably all fall back into reasonably well, right? They've been, I'm sure, playing a little bit of dive on maps and scrims lately anyways. They've all got a ton of experience on it from the past when it was really good for the most part. And you can just kind of throw the new hero in there and be good to go.
Yeah, seems like it should be a fun one to watch this weekend, if nothing else.
Definitely.
But we'll move on and talk about this weekend, and we are running a little bit late, so maybe we'll go relatively quickly through some of these ones. We start off Saturday with Guangzhou Charge versus the Seoul Dynasty. Death. Is Seoul up to snuff, or are they not?
Especially with Happy out with the hit scans. I've talked about this last week, and I was so happy they were back and he was going to be able to play and be unlocked, and it didn't matter. But I really think Seoul's going to be fine here, right? One bad match against a team that a lot of people think is one of the best in the league doesn't make you suddenly lose all the matchups you've been winning. So yeah, Seoul should be fine. Profit on Echo, yes, please. I'll watch that. I don't care how lopsided that match is.
Yeah.
I am dying to see it. Let's go.
Yeah. We'll take Seoul. Are you gonna go 3-0 or 3-1?
We're actually predicting here. I'm gonna go 3-0. I'm confident.
Yeah. I think we're actually favored to pick the XOs here, so I'll go with a 3-0 as well for Seoul. Speaking of XOs, we've got, I think we can call it right now, a match of the week, or at least a prospective match of the week. NYXL versus Shanghai Dragons. NY made their return last week with the 6-0, of course, and Shanghai has been on an absolute tear. So, of course, I'm giving NYXL the 5-0. But, Death, where are you landing on this matchup?
I'm landing on the I can't wait to watch this one side of things. This one is going to be really good because I'm not... I was a little skeptical on Shanghai. I had them as a top-end team. I think everybody did, but I wasn't sold on them being all the way up there. And after last weekend, your eyes have to be much more open to it. And New York had a good weekend too. They're missing Dene. I believe he stayed in North America when they went back to Korea. I thought I heard somebody say it was like dental issues, which apparently NYXL teeth is going to have to become a meme at some point.
Oof.
I don't know. The new EU teeth or something, I guess, is what it'll have to be. Oof. But oof confirmed.
I'd like to say that Deathblow's opinions are solely his own and don't represent the views of our new podcast.
I'm missing teeth too, but I'm just saying SBB knocked his 2 front teeth out.
It's true.
And Nene separated from the team supposedly because of dental issues. That's one heck of a coincidence. It's not even a shot. I mean, except at EU, but I have no qualms with doing that.
Dental plan. Lisa needs braces.
I'll just I carry him. That's fine. But yeah, so this one's going to be an absolute blast to watch. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna go Shanghai 3-2.
Boo.
Just to piss you off. It's a coin flip to me. I just want to be flipping the coin because I think
I'm
it's
not
right
flipping the
to
coin.
flip the
It's
coin.
easily
Flip the
NYXL,
coin. That's
but
the rule.
we'll go tails never fails for NY. I'm throwing this coin in the garbage. It says Shanghai is winning. I'm so mad right now at the coin and you. Let's just move on before my blood starts to boil.
Accomplished.
Dallas Fuel versus the Washington Justice. What's your take here, Death?
One of them is a competitive Overwatch team, and the other one's the Washington Justice.
Yeah.
I can't. It doesn't make sense. Washington should be better. They're not, and until they show it, maybe they need to pull a Florida and rip a couple back-to-back matchups against Boston together to fool me into buying in a little bit again. But until they get that, I just have to give this one to Dallas. They're playing well.
3-0s across the board. Next up, LA Valiant versus the Atlanta Reign. If you would have asked me this last week, I think I would have had a winner, but I don't know if I do, Death. Valiant they've not given me much to really grasp at. They've given me enough meat to nibble on that they're not a bottom feeder team, but even with the loss last week with Atlanta, I think I still have to pick Atlanta here. I'm going to go 3-1.
I'm absolutely picking Atlanta here. I saw Gig this weekend, which makes me completely out on the Valiant. I'm sorry, Gig. I loved your football tape. Dreamer looks like the better tank to me. It doesn't look particularly close. I think the team's better when Dreamer's out there. Gig, I know your heart's of gold. I'm not going to sing the song again. Don't worry, guys. But I looked up the lyrics to see if I could fit it in, and it just didn't quite work this time. But yeah, I can't reconcile that change again. Like I think I talked last week about how I thought they looked much better with Dreamer in there, and I think it gives them a chance to be competitive. And then now for them to instantly go off of that, just Atlanta 3-0.
Yep. Next up, Houston Outlaws versus the San Francisco Shock. And while, Houston did lose to Dallas, and they've been on the up and up, I'm not giving them this much of an up and up. Give me San Fran.
No, they don't get this. They don't get this much of an up and up. I will say it doesn't have to be uncompetitive.
Right.
We don't know. Listen, Hydration and Blase are flex projectile gods. Okay. They actually are. We used to talk about the things Hydration did on Farah that nobody else in the league was able to do.
Yep.
You've seen the Doomfist from Blase. This year it's been on display. If you've not noticed it, you've not been paying attention.
Right.
One of these guys could pick up Echo and just be a star on it. Mekko's looked very good the past couple of weekends. The support play has looked pretty good. I thought Rappel looked very, very good this weekend. It's really just a question of, can the tank line hold it together? If you're telling me that it's Muma on Winston against Super on Winston, I'm telling you that's a close fight.
Yeah.
At me all you want. You've not seen Super play Winston in a long time, and neither have I. He was always known for his Reinhardt, and his Winston was always a big question mark.
Yep.
And maybe it's Smurf. I don't know. I think that might be best for in the moment, but personally, I think they should just get Super up to snuff on the Winston and let him go. They shouldn't need to make that swap for Houston. But there's plenty of, the counterpoint to that is there's a litany of DPS gods on the San Francisco side of things too. They're clearly the favorite. I will go San Francisco 3-1. I want the map for my heart.
I don't want the map, but I'll give it to him anyway. Next up, we'll move to Sunday, and we'll actually group these next two matches together because we saw these exact matches happen last week. Seoul Dynasty versus Hangzhou, Chengdu versus NY, and I'm not predicting anything different here. No reason to. Give me Seoul 3-0, give me NY. I'm going to go 5-0, but 3-0. I don't think there's really much. We saw a copy paste from last week.
Yeah, I'm there as well. Hangzhou looks messy.
Yeah.
I will say I think there's a decent chance if we can get some more Winston into play and into things that might really help Gouchway bring the team around some. But the bad streak they're on right now means you can't go with them. And Chengdu's been consistent, but NYXL is just a better team than they are. So it would take something goofy. Yeah, I'll go 3-0s on both of them solid here.
Yep. All right. Philly Fusion versus Paris Eternal. I know you've been pretty high on Paris in recent weeks, Death, but I'm going to give Philly the nod here. Give me 3-1 Philly.
Yeah, Paris without Eggsy. I think we've only got the one match of it so far.
Yeah.
But it was not great. And Philly, if I'm right about the meta, they're going into Winston, which creates an opportunity here. But again, Paris then has to show it, right? Are you telling me Nico's going to be their Echo player? Because I'm taking the Fusion in that fight with. I don't care if it's Ivy. I don't care if it's EQO. And it's probably EQO if I had to guess, since Ivy's been out there. EQO's probably been grinding the new hero in the background while Ivy scrims on this hero on May. So yeah, I gotta lean Philly here. I'm curious to see if the dive meta brings Fury out a little bit. Poco's been playing well, but it's Fury. I don't know. I can't, no matter how good Poco plays, I just have to think Fury would look a little bit better in that scenario, right? I don't know. It's hard to reconcile. We'll see though. Easy prediction here for Philly.
Yep. Speaking of easy predictions, we saw this match last week as well. Florida Mayhem versus Boston Uprising. Boston still not a legal Overwatch League team by technical definition, so not picking them to win. Give me 3-0 Florida.
I even asked them on Twitter. Made sure I pointed out that they currently didn't have a legal roster, and didn't get a response there either. Go figure.
Surprised you're not banned.
I probably am. I don't know. I don't go there often enough to check and see if they've banned me. Not even going to watch this game because it gets me hyped thinking maybe I was a little right and maybe there's a little something here with Florida. And I'm just, Boston's that
false
bad.
Positives. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't want to watch Boston's games anymore because I think it messes with my ability to properly analyze their opponent.
Makes sense.
It's rough. Boston is terrible.
They're the T-ball of Overwatch League. It's like, oh man, he hit 58 home runs that game. Yeah, but the guy was throwing him batting practice.
Robert Kraft should have to trade his Patriots to Cleveland for the Browns in exchange too. Like that should be he should have to switch cities.
Patriots aren't even good anymore.
Take that, Thorn.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be funny because it would be screwing over both New England and Cleveland because actually it would be better for New England because then they'd have old dumb Becky Jubs at least, and who knows what Cleveland would have. Last match,
James Hoffman, who's the only human being on earth that would understand that joke.
Oh, dumb Becky Jubs. I feel like someone should be able to get it.
They'll be able to figure it out. But
tweet at us if you know. tweet at us at High Noon Podcast and the NFL athlete that you think that is, and just say got it on Twitter. We're gonna get a call.
I can't wait for their guesses that are wrong. I want wrong guesses.
Wrong guesses only, please. Last match of the week, we've got Toronto Defiant versus LA Gladiators. Again, to reference your previous statement, Toronto's last win, if I recall correctly, was against Boston. So I don't know how good they actually are.
5-0 Toronto. You got it. I wrote it down for you.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
I mean, I want it. I don't know if I can predict it. Of course, I'm going to predict it, but I don't know if I should. I mean, give me the Toronto. I'll do a 3-2 Toronto, but I don't feel good about it.
It's wrong to pick it, and it has to be. I love that you're doing it anyways, because now I can blame the coin if the show picks somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Gladiators 3-1 here, but I want to point out that this is a match that I think is highly flippable due to the new hero. Toronto's not an inadequate team, right? They've struggled. They've got main tank problems. They've got a main tank that's much more comfortable in dive. And if I'm right, we're going there. Okay. And they've got a flex projectile, everything god in Surefour
Yeah.
that could very easily, it's very much so within the realm of possibility that he's the best Echo player on the weekend.
Yeah.
Just picks it up, it clicks with him, it fits, whatever. We don't know who that's going to be, right? There's going to be 2-3 surprise wins in this week, just based off of the Echo player was so much better and the other team couldn't figure it out and couldn't shut it down.
Right.
That's the fun of the new hero being thrown in. That's all that stuff. Surefour is a likely candidate to me to be one of those guys. But I mean, you've seen, I've been very, very impressed with what the Gladiators have been able to do. Bird Ring is undergoing a just complete redemption arc that I didn't think was possible for him based off of the last 3 years of competitive play we've seen.
Right.
So you've got to favor the Gladiators here going in. But it's definitely one that doesn't have to go that way. So let's see what the coin thinks as far as who's going to have the better Echo.
All right. Tails never fails for Toronto. Oh my God, I'm going to burn this coin in molten lava of Mountain Doom. It was heads. The coin picked Gladiators.
How dare you?
I'm very mad. All right, folks, that is it on the week. That's going to be it for us. Death, any last closing remarks before we go?
No, remember twitch.tv/D3ATH_BL0W for an uninteractive stream of a different game.
You'll be interactive if people are talking. You just maybe not.
Yeah, you'll get my attention if he's using, but I might miss you for a bit.
Yes, that is going to be it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And, of course, thank you again to our executive producer, Bungee Bamboo. Again, you can join them in their support of us, patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. You can find us everywhere, highnoonpodcast.com. High Noon Podcast pretty much everywhere. And you know, we haven't talked about it in a while, but we do actually have the store still up. You can still get the OG High Noon Podcast shirts if you would like. Go to the highnoonpodcast.com and go to the shop section. We've got some shirts up there if you would like one. But High Noon Podcast everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, iTunes, all of those good places. But guys, that's going to be it for the show. For Death Blow, I am High Noon. Wow. I've never messed that up, and I literally messed it up right now. For Death Blow, I'm High Noon Podcast. Now, for Death Blow, I'm the Blevins. And remember, guys, it's High Noon.
Put on his hat, threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past, and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now guides my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Oh, dumb Becky Jump Jumps.